Hi, I'm Benita. Welcome to DreamWell. How to prepare your child mentally and emotionally to go back to school. So I'm talking more about children in probably grade 6 and up whose social image is much more important than what the adults in their lives think of them. They're really focused on their peer group. So I wanted to offer 5 tips on helping your child to prepare mentally and emotionally for going back to school. Tip number 1, make sure they are prepared as possible to return back to school. And what I mean by that is make sure that they have attended the orientation of their school so that they can assess their surroundings, make sure that they visited their classroom before school starts, make sure that they've met their teacher so they have a familiarity with who is going to be their teacher for the year. Make sure they know where they're going to sit in the classroom if there's assigned seating. Make sure they know and understand what their bus route is going to be if they have to take the bus, or what their schedule is going to need to be if they have to get up early in the morning and make breakfast, or get their sister or brother out to school. Whatever the situation, I would say make sure that they understand their routine. They understand so that there's no surprises. And the more you eliminate those surprises, I think the better off your child will be to better prepared mentally your child will be to focus on whatever the day brings. But if you can eliminate some of those unnecessary stresses, I believe it will help your child to be more comfortable in preparing for what is coming next. Tip number 2, encourage your child to be themselves. I think we forget how important it is for them at this age to be accepted by their peers. But I think having a conversation with your child about maybe how do they see themselves fitting in, or who do you know anybody in your classroom, and discussing those things about themselves might help them to alleviate the awkwardness that they might feel at this age. And then also affirmations, affirming for them, creating daily mantras that tell them, hey, I love you the way you are. You're an amazing child. You can do anything. You're mighty strong for standing up to facing the situation alone. Whatever it might be that you feel your child needs encouragement or support in, that'll build up their self-esteem and encourage them to be who they are. Children learn later in life that being who they are is enough, but at this age they kind of feel like I just got to do what I got to do to fit in so that I'm not the one being picked on. But really, being who they are is going to be what makes them stand out the most. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is discuss with your child their concerns and fears. And then I want you to normalize it. You all have been in 6th, 7th, and 8th and up grades before. So I would just encourage you to talk to your child very simply about, hey, what are your concerns? And you know what? That's totally normal. When I was your age, I did the same thing. I had similar fears too. Or even sometimes just a nod and I understand what you're going through, I understand what you're feeling is enough to help them feel like they're not alone, but that you've also been through it, or people who have, or their feelings are valid. And oftentimes that's enough to get children to understand that what they're experiencing is normal, and it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to have apprehensions, but also encourage them to talk to you about what those things are so that they know, so that you have a clear understanding of what it is that they might be thinking about, ruminating. What are the thoughts that are going through their head? So I would encourage you to talk to your child and normalize behaviors and thoughts that they might be having about anxieties about going to the next grade. Tip number 4, I would identify negative self-talk. So what that means is to think about what you're thinking about. I start by writing down the thoughts. Encourage your child, hey, write down what you've been thinking about. What are some of your the thoughts that you've been telling yourself? Oftentimes they are self-sabotaging thoughts that keep us in this fear state where we have to feel like we have to react constantly. But if we can identify our self-talk and learn what it is that we are actually see it by writing it down. What are we actually thinking about, and how is it affecting me? It might better prepare your child to overcome those thoughts by replacing that negative thought with a better thought. So for instance, your child might say, I'm scared, I'm not going to fit in. And you can replace that thought, or teach them to replace that thought by saying, I am going to fit in. And then I'm going to go into tip number 5, begin to visualize yourself fitting in. What is the outcome? How do you see yourself fitting in? What do you see when you say that you want to fit in? How does that look for you? Envision that situation, and you will be so surprised how powerful our minds and our thoughts are when we visualize something and we see it happening, how that we prepare ourselves to respond to that situation in that way, so that when it comes, we're not surprised by it, and almost as though we thought it up for ourselves. So I would encourage you, steps number 4 and 5 is identify your self-talk, replace it with a positive thought, and then visualize that thought, which is tip number 5. See yourself having already achieved that outcome of being able to fit in your mind's eye, so that you know that when this situation comes, it doesn't scare you, but you're prepared for it. You almost create that situation for yourself. And I'll teach more on visualization and replacing thoughts as I get more into these talks. I hope these tips were helpful. I look forward to your guys' comments. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this video.